Transformers Legacy has some of the most amazing core class toys, from the fun bombers to the really well done iguanas, with Studio Series even jumping into the picture of core class. I thought it would be about time after seeing some amazing conversation in the comments over Transformers in the previous video to make a list. Though I will have some rules. If I take a suggestion from the comments, I will not disclose the name due to privacy, but will give credit to the idea to the commenter. Second, this is a list in pure fun, and I'd love to hear some of your characters you all wish to see. This list is in no particular order, but anyways, let's get on with this. First off, I would like to say that I will keep in mind retools and etc. when doing this list, but for my first entry, I have to say animated Dirt Boss. I love the Revenge of the Fallen mold for Dirt Boss. This tiny little forklift phone makes for some really neat displays, as well as dioramas, as well being a nice transform to transform. As you all know, I love Scout class, so you'll see more of those characters on this list. The whole idea of having characters just be tied to the core class to scale with the bigger toys is one of my favorites. I especially enjoyed the complexity and intricacy of Kingdom Rat Trap, as well as the pretenders we're getting like Iguanas and Bombburst. This would make a perfect explanation in making a great Dirt Boss. Its vehicle would have been this little intricate transformation to pull off the animated look, but it would be perfect. Especially a perfect addition to put next to the bigger toys as well in the line, as giving animated fans something a bit more accurate and less G1ified with a forklift that will look the same in any continuity, honestly, and that's one of the reasons why I really like it. So not many people will complain, well, unless you're expecting a Hearts of Steel one or a War Within design, but you guys get the point. Possible repaint / retools could be Junkion design of lifting machinery or recolor into Deadlift, a recolor of the Revenge of the Fallen toy. Overall, this one's pretty solid. Giving you guys a pick for a Studio Series, I'd love to see a core class Scorponok from the 2007 Transformers. Studio Series has done an idea for certain characters what they would look like without an official alt mode, but this has been less than stellarly received as seen in the Studio Series Fallen. But I've not seen an attempt for a robot mode that was not seen on screen, so I'd love them to try that with a core class Scorponok. This design is really interesting in my opinion. I love the more realistic Scorpion look to him, plus having him a bit bigger will look really nice in a Bayverse display, or just as a neat desk toy. I feel like they could do something similar to the Legend Scale one seen in a few releases before, but more polished and refined. Plus you could get some buzzworthy repaints out of him, like what they're doing with the Stalker variant in some of the toy lines, or a more blacked out color scheme. Overall, I'd love to see him along with a few others in the list in the Studio Series in the future. This is a more weirder choice, but I'd love to see a Steel Jaw from Dark of the Moon. I feel like core class would make a perfect, really cool choice due to his size. Plus, we already got a Ravage from the Bumblebee, but having this Autobot dog would be a great must-have for any collector. For an alt mode, they could always do a more improved version of what came in Studio Series before, this time being a bit more bigger and having a transformation. For an alt mode, we've never really truly seen him transform into anything, so I'd love to see him be a tiny gray or metal toolbox or a larger mechanic parts rack to use those little exhaust pipe pieces on the back. We wouldn't get an engine, but I think that would be a really neat alt mode, especially with the whole race car theme of the Wreckers. Plus, it's better than the box that came with Core Class Ravage. Back to Legacy with this one. I'd love an Omnicon Strong. This little Jeep would be super cool with a tiny mining vehicle / off-road alt mode, changing things up with the current Transformers lineup in Core Class. We rarely see Energon get a lot of attention, but I think this would sell well with the idea of a tiny Jeep or a classification for a tiny Transformer to go along with those larger figures, or even by itself. His Energon weapon could be redesigned to fit with the Energon weapon aesthetic of the first year, giving him an axe weapon in robot mode, but a really neat crane piece that would make for excellent fun when put in a display with Energon or a mining setting. I could see him repainted into his variants, but out of all the Omnicons, I really wish this would get the star treatment it deserves from the Legacy toy line. Coming from the Cybertron series, I'd love a Lugnuts toy. Lugnuts is such a really cool concept of being a Decepticon, but more of a wandering traveler that just needs some basics to survive. His Harley Davidson model would be a really great core class, even though we got a motorcycle in Deluxe already in Legacy Evolution. You'll have to let me cook with this though. If we get this guy, he would make for a perfect addition to a Junkion display, or the big push of Junkions in Legacy Evolution. I just really dig this bot, and him being a superior version of his Cybertron Scout class would honestly be great. Plus his Junkion aesthetic make for a really cool addition for their lineup, especially as a core class to break up the size difference, since we gotta at least have a few Junkions out there, especially tiny ones. Hell, I wouldn't mind if we get a general and just a core class Junkion, where there'd be some Mad Max go-kart or some ridiculous looking mobile tool for the bigger bots to use. Overall, we need at least some form of a core class Junkion, and I think that would be perfect for Lugnuts from Cybertron. Another choice I would think would be an amazing for a core class would have to be Dinobot Slash, Love or Hate Prime Wars toys. One of the neatest concepts was making a tiny member for each of the combiner teams to use as either a weapon or an additional part of their lineup, my favorite one being Dinobot Slash. Having a Velociraptor amongst the larger Dinobots makes sense. A tiny transformer to send out to be undetected and just go hunting around is such a cool concept. Some may argue that this toy would make for a better deluxe class. With how tiny Velociraptors are naturally, I think core class would be a perfect place for this bot. Its size, design, and overall niche popularity would make for a perfect G1ified design compared to the more 80s toy accurate look that we got in the previous release. Though my only complaint about this bot would be distribution, since I know many of you guys would love to pick up a bot for a core class, Dinobot, or general Transformers collection in general. Overall, I think this would sell well, and that would be its downfall in my opinion, because we all know how Hasbro's distribution is. With the introduction of Tarn to the Legacy lineup and most likely more Decepticon Justice Division members to come, why not make a core class Nickel? Nickel is a tiny transformer who many people enjoy in the IDW comics, being a sort of mechanic to the DJD. Though the one issue would be with the alt mode is which one to choose. Nickel is a quad changer or a Transformer 3 alt mode, this being a small rover / space buggy, a submarine, as well as a tiny ship. Knowing how Hasbro handles engineering, this may be put in the deluxe class price point for being a triple changer or a pack if the Hasbro ever does that sort of concept with a DJD HasLab. I would sure hope they do not do that, because I am not a big fan of HasLabs. Due to how similar though that these three modes are, I wouldn't be surprised if they just do a 2 secret modes, similar to how they do Soundwave Cybertronian mode on the Siege toy or the Astro Magnum mode on Siege Soundwave. Overall, I really do hope we get Nickel in some way. Taking an idea from the comments for this one, I do agree with the comment on us needing more Sharkticons instead of just Gnaw. I'd love for some core class regular looking Sharkticons as well as varied in design and Sharkticons similar to the smaller Beast Wars characters. The idea would make a good parallel to the Junkions we got in Legacy Evolution, giving them a faction to fight as well as giving us a lot of those Beast / Sharkticon fans out there some more of what they want. The core class is a perfect starting point since I know so many people would buy smaller Sharkticons to make massive hordes in displays, and with it a cheaper price point, more will try to do this for displays. Though the only issue I could see is trying to capture that distinct Sharkticon look, and maybe a Beast Wars vibe if they decide to go with it, but after seeing how well they're doing the Junkions and their whole aesthetic, I wouldn't be surprised if they try this in the future, because it is a really good idea. This one was mentioned by you guys in the last video also, but Monstructor. The idea of a monster combiner has been done before, but imagine if they took that concept of the core class Dinobots we got this year and made them a similarly designed combiner for them to battle. The more mishmash colors and more pretender representation would lead me to think, why not? With a core class Dino King being rumored, I really wouldn't be surprised if we get a Monstructor out of them also. It's an easy generation select or just a general core class. Even Dino King was made out of the mold of Monstructor, so why wouldn't we get him while we're at it? I know many people want an affordable combiner to add to their lineup, and the core class Dinobots combined look pretty neat so far, into me looking, but tell me guys down below what you guys think of those core class Dinobots. Do you think it would be a great retool into Monstructor? Let me know. Before we finish this list, I would love to give some honorable mentions and why they were not on this list. Most Cybertron Scout class like Scattershot or Clocker, I think would do better in Deluxe class because of modern Hasbro. I don't think decreasing them from the old Scout class size would do them justice, unlike Lugnuts on this list. Another would be the Humanoid Pretenders. I want to see personally how the just announced Metal Hawk looks in hand before I think if I want any more, especially in the core class, though I'm extremely hopeful based on how he looks on stream. Finally, I will say it right now, we really do need to wait on Core Class Studio Series Bayverse Bumblebee. I really do not like how the Core Class Laserbeak falls apart, and knowing Hasbro, I'm afraid they will use this for a Core Class Bumblebee. If they can fix the quality issues on this, I would be more than wanting it, but for now, it's a hard pass. This is a weird option, and I wanted to save it for last for that reason, but it is a core class gun Megatron. This can be either in Studio Series 86 or Legacy, but having a holdable gun / weapon version of Megatron is such a neat concept, especially with how Freezer is with leader class Scourge that was just revealed. I can just imagine how many cool poses as well as being a neat accessory for different Transformers to use. I especially know that the stop motion community would love a transformable weapon Megatron, though I think it would be easier to pull off after seeing the Legends class Megatron that turned into a gun back from 2009 in the Hunt for Decepticons wave. I could see them either reimagining him as a large cannon or doing a Voss style approach from the DJD and making him a high caliber rifle. Overall, not much to say about this concept, but knowing Hasbro, I could see them doing something similar to a tiny Megatron gun accessory, because we got something like it in Earthrise, but it was non-transformable, so I think it would be a really neat concept. Alright everyone, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, this list is just for fun, and I'd love to know what you guys want to see in the comments down below. Stick around for some more Transformers content, since there's going to be a bunch to come.